Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, are my headphones on? They're not because I think you can hear me better. Oh, happy Saturday. Uh, in the USA. I slept longer last night than I have in a while, and when I woke up, the first thing that occurred to me was silk. I feel like yesterday, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the same terms yesterday, but yesterday, looking back, seemed very volatile. It did seem like I don't know, like very charged, like something had come to a head. Mm. And then this morning, I woke up. I was just like, wow, everything feels okay. Everything feels good. It was almost like some type of latent anger or injustice or something in your being like rose out and proceeded to move away from your energy. And I feel like it's something that like a misunder okay, guys, right now, there's a Gila woodpecker who just landed on my tree, Pablo, and yes, my trees tell me their names. Um, Not all of them, just the ones that guess we share the same vision. Anyways, I wish I could turn the computer around to show you because he is beautiful. And whenever I see a woodpecker, to me, that means self-value. So that's why I feel like birds are such magical creatures because they can come to me when I'm simply sitting here doing what I'm doing every day. And in fact, they always do. Different trees bring different messages to me while I'm sitting watching my tree. Anyways, so another thing I'll add is something that you did yesterday or didn't do was very much all about your self value, your vision, and how you see the world. Um, And maybe it was simply just doing nothing. Maybe you've been misunderstood your whole life and you just said, I'm not going to argue with people who don't understand me. I'm not going to stand up for myself when this person can't see me clearly, and that's not my responsibility. Something like this. That's what it feels like. Let's see what the cards have to say. But I do feel like silk because, like, sometimes I'll talk about the energy seems like a mirror pond, like just very calm and serene. But today it's like another layer. It's almost like we let go of something so big yesterday, and then we wrapped ourselves up in this unconditional love robe that was made of silk. And maybe it's, whatever color you like. And maybe it's like silk on the inside, but there's like a different texture on the outside. I love visualizations. I feel like they're so helpful in so many ways. Because for me, you know, everyone is allowed to think and perceive and see the world in the way that they see the world. But for me, the way I see the world is very much through energy, the subconscious, the subliminal, the potential. And I'm not someone who says I need proof to take action. And I think that, it's okay if other people feel like that because it makes sense in this physical realm that we would say, well, like, I can see myself, so how come I can't see? You know what I mean? But there's so many things that you can't see. And if you don't believe in what you can't see, the world doesn't have magic for that person who doesn't believe in what they can't see. And so maybe these people and places and spaces that were misunderstanding you were simply just, I want to say jealous. And the way I describe jealousy is kind of like it's almost like the same thing as competition, right? Because competition is just an invitation for collaboration. When you feel competition with another person who's maybe doing the same thing that you know that you can do, but you can do it in a different way, that's just the spark of the divine saying, hey, this person's doing it to show you that you can do it too, because you have a different way of doing it, because everyone has that one thing that they can do in a way that is completely unique to them. And that's why it's so important to completely be ourselves And that's why I personally feel like it's so important to shed the layers of conditioning, get rid of all those templates and expectations for life, and to live from within and to really just shed all the energies that are not us, to become a planet, to get rid of our dwarf planet status where we have this garbage in our orbit that allows things that we don't want for ourselves to come in because it's resonating because we haven't gotten rid of these layers of conditioning, self limitation, stuff like that. But coming back to jealousy, jealousy for me is like someone sees something in you that they know they have in themselves, but they can't get to it. And so then sometimes they lash out at you or they blame you for something that you didn't do because they see you shining so brightly and they don't understand like how it's possible, right? Anyways, let's see what the cards say. And I'm going to pick one. Actually, let's do another bird card to start off. Oh my. Yeah, so, and maybe yesterday it just felt like the world was too much for you. You just thought you could crawl out of your skin. You were so misunderstood, or, there's been lots of really powerful things moving through each and every one of us, right? Because the macrocosm affects the microcosm. And of course, that can mean a lot of things, but the reason why I'm talking about that at this moment is to say that everything that the collective is going through, all of the trauma and the turmoil and the unnecessary human not self is what I would call it. Because whenever we're not acting out of unconditional love, we're not really acting from who we truly are. And yes, of course, we have momentary situations where we feel angry because someone violated our boundary and something like this. But I'm talking about like that true hatred, violence, aggression. Like that's not self. That's someone abandoning themselves because that is not the true nature of a human being. At least a human being who has realized that they're more than just this physical vehicle, right? A human being who has gotten in touch with themselves on such a deep level that they understand that this is just a part of the entirety of who they are. This is just a small part of the entirety of who you are. And so each and every person is going to be expressing some different part of what's going on with everyone in their own individual life that is specific to the challenges that they are meant to go through for their own soul growth. And the hardest part is we never know what these challenges are going to be, how extreme they might be, how unexpected they might be, and also how we are going to deal with them, right? So let's look at the first one. I'll let you guys look at it first. Go ahead and move this image through your whole body. Pay attention to where you feel it. Does it take you back to a memory? I love doing sensory buffet where I just taste, touch, hear, see, smell. And that's not always applicable for all of the cards, but some of these cards will actually take you to a memory or a past life or a story that you've been telling yourself. Maybe it goes to a certain place in your body where you don't feel free, where you have some energy stagnancies. It's in a cluster asking for your consideration and release with your full sovereign power. Okay, we have an albatross. And what's interesting about an albatross is I think like the rhyme of the ancient mariner. I remember reading that in English when I was younger, and I feel like the albatross is often like a bad omen. And I'm only laughing because I don't believe in those things. Crows and ravens are some of the most beautiful bird messengers that I've ever worked with, and in a lot of cultures. And I'm not trying to say that it's laughable. I apologize for that. But for me personally, I don't believe in bad omens, right? But I feel like this speaks very much to exactly what we were just talking about how we're going to be mistaken for who we really are because other people who don't truly see themselves clearly who either don't realize they can do the work, they're still caught in kind of like that template for life or society's standards. And so then they see things like someone who is free to be themselves as like a challenge or an insult or someone to be controlled or a disruptor or disrespectful. I just have to say that like I have the biggest beef with the word disrespectful. Uh, all love to you, Grandpa, because that was a word that he used, and it's outdated because it's not that world anymore. It's not that kind of party. And respect truly is something that is earned. It's not something that is just deserved by anyone and everyone. And I feel like this happens a lot with children. Um, the one who gets labeled as the disrespectful one is the one who's misunderstood, is the one that lives from their heart, and is the one that they don't have a category or a box that they can put in. And I feel like we're going to see more and more of this. And in fact, we already have, because that's why a lot of children are homeschooled now. And I do feel like the whole system of the way children are being taught is going to change, because it's like, how can you walk into a classroom full of 6 or 7 and 8 year olds and expect to see them just sitting at a desk watching their teacher write a math problem on the board? Like, if that makes sense in your human brain, then maybe we need to sit down and have a conversation, because that does not make sense to me. Because children are meant to be free, they're meant to be happy, they're meant to be experiencing life, they're meant to be teaching us what they remember from when they first got here. And every single time we label them as a disruptor or a troublemaker or disrespectful, we're just telling them that it's not okay for them to be themselves. So I do really feel like that's changing. So let's go back to the albatross. Where are you, the albatross, in your life? And what does that actually truly mean? Where are you posing a threat to someone because they are in their comfort zone and you thrive in expanding consciousness? You're the disruptor. You're the Uranus energy. You're the Uranus in Aquarius. And I see 3 things in this. Of course, I see the black and white. So integrate the shadow. And then I see the orange, which to me is all about child innocence, the sacral, being yourself, allowing yourself to be free, allowing yourself to take up space, because that's really what it is. It's like when we tell people, you know, you have to listen to me because I am an arbitrary leader and I gained this position by force or by hierarchy or by the deeds that I've done. I mean, the world's over that. This is not the world anymore. So if you're the albatross, I'm happy. Keep being the albatross. Keep being yourself. All right, let's see. What's our and gals and squirrels? Okay, I meant to pull from this deck yesterday and then I didn't. But I did watch some of this movie yesterday while I was cleaning before my son got home from school. And I just love it so much. But I'm gonna do it a couple more times. There we go. All right, now I'm going to show you first. And do the same thing, just take it in. Maybe you breathe it in through your head and it makes a bunch of shapes and colors and textures. Or maybe you feel it in your heart or your solar plexus or your sacral. Oh my, the Ace of Wands. This is an interesting card. And again, I just read from what I see and what it makes me feel like considering the energy today, so intuitively. So this is, if you haven't seen the movie or familiar with the book, this is the Lady Amalthea, and she is the last unicorn, but she had to turn into human form so that she wouldn't be trapped by King Haggard, because he drove all of the unicorns into the ocean because he wanted to keep them because nothing made him happy. And in fact, that's his castle back there. Even having all the unicorns didn't make him happy because he was just a miserable guy. Maybe he's thinking life is always happening to me. I don't really know. But his voice in the movie is Christopher Lee, and I just love everything about this movie. So if you haven't watched it, give it a try. But what I'm thinking is she's got her eyes closed. She's not holding on to her unicorn horn anymore. She's wearing purple. And there's a lot of blue. And then, of course, her hair is white. So she trusts in her path. She trusts in the universe. Her form of expression, which is why I'm talking about it because of the blue, is very much just entrusting herself and saying, like, I know I'm magic. I don't need to cling to this appendage because I trust my path. I trust who I am. And honestly, I feel like this is like completely like just surrender to the unknown. Trust that all of the choices that you've been making over the years, the paths you've been taking, the way you treat plants, animals, everything around you, like how you entrain your energy around you. Because remember, everything that you interact with on a daily basis has consciousness. And you entrain the energy around you with your consciousness. So if you're always spreading love and joy and integrity and honesty and truth, then that is the feedback. And it's pretty much like, excuse me, yeah, you're forming your own force field. My head cold is getting better. It's still a little, so I apologize for that. But it's like, she doesn't have to cling to a definition of who she is. Yes, she's a unicorn, but she's in this human body. It's just like us. We're more than just this human body, right? We're this big ball of energy, and the way that we plant the seeds of intention, the thoughts that we think, making sure that they're ours and not others, the quiet places that we go to really connect with ourselves, with God, with the divine, with source, with all there is, whatever it's going to be called. And then there's also these deeper purple, perhaps like hyacinths. You can't totally see it with this camera. These deeper purple, like bushes or plants. I will never get this whole mirror thing right. There we go. So it's like she's wearing purple. There's purple plants. She's protected. She's connected to the divine realms, right? And she's got her eyes closed. She's saying, I relinquish this label because I know that I'm not just one thing. And I trust the universe. That's what I see with that one. All right, let's do one more. This is one of my decks that can sometimes give hard truths. And I don't feel like it's going to hit too hard today because the energy doesn't feel like that. Now, yesterday, if we would have done this one. This is one of the first decks I got. And I feel like it was like 2019. Was it 2019? 2018? I don't remember when I got my first decks. Actually, my first deck I did not get along with, and it was a gift from a friend. And I was still very fear-based back then too. So everything I asked it, I realized that the biggest piece of advice I can give anyone who's starting to read cards, and you can do it according to rules, or you can just do it with your intuition. I'm one of those Uranus disruptors. I don't care for rules. I feel like if they have a purpose, that's great. But Saturn, when it has too much rigidity, doesn't allow for freedom of expression. But anyways, I ended up giving the deck away because what will happen if you're desperate for something and you come to your deck, you're most likely going to get your mind energy. At least that's what I've found. That's why you center yourself, calm yourself. Don't ever ask your deck anything out of desperation because what you're going to get revealed to you, most likely, not always, could be desperation. Let's see. Keep going with this. My wonderful shuffling skills. These cards get so heavy sometimes too. Oh, there we go. I don't know. Maybe we aren't going to use this. Come on. We're going to try something different. Here we go. Do the same thing, my friends. Take a look. Where do you feel it? I feel this one in my heart, and I have no idea what it even is. Oh, self-love. Self-5. And I feel like yesterday was a very big challenge for all of us. And a lot of the things that are happening all over the world, we have little to no control over. And I know that this sounds the way that it sounds, but by you loving yourself first and then having that overflow of love to give to everything and everyone around you, right? So not just the people, but the spaces that you're in. Like I'm talking about true love, right? Not like the forced people pleasy love. I'm talking about love with boundaries, empathy with boundaries. But and perhaps you did your fair share of crying yesterday. I know I did. Um and you know, sometimes we get things that happen to us and then we cry a lot and we're like, why am I crying so much about this? And it's not like you're trying to minimize yourself, but you're likely transmuting for not just yourself, because there's so many people that are going through really hard times. And so every time we love ourselves and we're honest with ourselves and we allow our emotions just to be passengers that flow through us, we are helping those people. And I know that it sounds the way that it sounds, but I do believe that it's true. Because we all, in a sense, are reflections of each other, and we all are made of the same stuff. All right, I guess that's all I have for today. And I've been slacking on the astrology, but hopefully that'll be back in the works soon. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.